Welcome back to Sippin With Sin, the podcast where we talk about stuff and things and stuff that are important to everybody all across the world, across the universe, across the astral plane. It is the number one podcast of such and things, proven by people far smarter than us. Don't question it, just accept it in your heart of hearts, in your soul of souls. I mean, it's just science. It's just basic knowledge. But welcome back, another week, another episode. I think this is episode number 93. God, dude, 93 episodes already. We got a fun one for you this week. And as always, or not as always, as usual, as of late, we are recording this live on Kick. So we have our lovely Kick chat partaking with us and enjoying beverages and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's welcome back our esteemed colleague, the one, the only, Mr. Christian.
Thank you so much. Feels good to be back for another episode. We have so much to get into today, so let's do it.
All the stuff and things. But what we like to do to start every episode, we like to talk about what we've been watching, reading, listening to, or playing this past week. I guess I can go first. So Magic Christians is going to bleed into other stuff.
I'm actually going to go first.
Christian said, "The hell with you." I'm going first. Fine then. You know what? I didn't want to go first anyways.
As far as reading things, I did read a comic just today, and it was more of the Magneto comic. I think I mentioned on the last podcast episode. This one was awesome. For those of you who don't know, Magneto died. He's come back to life. And this issue was essentially just about him coming back and then, fighting for mutants and then trying to decide what kind of Magneto he wanted to be. Which mask essentially would he wear? Would he be the old Magneto who doesn't give a damn and just would kill people without thinking about it? Is he going to be more Charles Xavier influenced and try to find the positivity in the world and try to keep people safe and do his thing without killing? Or is he going to be an amalgamation of both of those? Is he going to be the Magneto that gets things done, fights for mutants, but also protects people from other mutants and for themselves? And with that, Magneto displayed his power in a way that we have never seen it before, as far as I'm concerned. And it was fantastic. I don't really want to ruin what he did to these people, these soldiers that he was fighting. He was faced with an impossible situation. It was one of those things like you have to kill these people or all these people will die. It's one of those things. And what he does in order to save a bunch of mutants was so dope. And reading it was amazing. And I can't wait to see where the comic goes. The next issue, he's supposed to be on a team to help save Iron Man, who is the cause of a lot of his problems in the comics right now. So I'm just really excited to see where that goes. So that's what I've been reading. As far as listening to, right before the podcast started, we listened to a band called Darko, and they have a song called Bunny Suit that is heavy as piss. I love it. I'm going to just indulge in everything that is that band after the pod. I can't wait. And as far as watching,
I will tell you though, if you're going and expecting it to sound like that song, and especially that one part, then yeah, it's just going to be crazy heaviness, chaotic heaviness.
That's actually exactly what I want.
Then that's what you're going to get. It's actually, I don't know, like, I call him Darko, but if you look him up on, like, Spotify or something, it's Darko US.
US, got you.
Yeah, and it's a two-man band, and, dude, they're crazy.
I believe you were saying that the drummer is the drummer from Viljarda. So
no, that's not. We're a different band. That's Throne.
Different band? Got you. Throne, got you.
Throne is another band I showed Christian, and the drummer, I cannot remember his name, and I'm probably going to get yelled at by Manos and TJ and everybody else. But he's the drummer for Viljarta, and it's his band, and I can't remember who else is in it. But, dude, Throne is crazy. Throne is such an interesting band. But I will talk about that in a moment. I don't want to derail you.
No problem. And then moving on, as far as watching things goes, I have watched a couple of things off pod that we don't normally talk about. Nothing particularly of note. And one of the things that I watched this past weekend, I'm pretty sure you watched too, we'll get into here in a bit, but I will let you lead us into that. But it's just as far as watching, I just haven't had a lot of time to watch things aside from what we normally talk about. So just to let you guys know, like, stuff happens in real life. I watch these things not only because I want to, but because we like to talk about it. So when I do get the chance to just watch little stuff just for me, I do that. I know I had my little one over the weekend, this past weekend, at the time of this recording, and we watched Dennis the Menace from
Oh
what
my
I think
god.
1994. And dude, I used to watch that movie when I was a kid all the time, and watching it again as an adult, like I love that movie still. It holds up pretty well. Some of the effects are like obviously wonky CGI
I mean, it's
effects.
from the
I
90s though, right?
Yeah, it is. And Christopher Lloyd, for those of you who don't know, the uninitiated, he is the person who played Doc Brown in Back to the Future and a menagerie of other roles. But he's in that movie as the robber, right? The villain, and it's fantastic. His physical gag comedy is awesome. It still holds up to this day. Dennis is indeed a menace, and he has some of the worst parents ever because they just literally don't watch anything that he does. So I'm kind of on Mr. Wilson's side for a lot of the stuff that's happening because Dennis sucks. Um, there is a part of the movie that every time I watch it, I cry. I'm not even gonna lie. Like grown man, like my son's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Nothing. Fine, leave me alone." Um, but I really like the movie. It's fun. It's not long. It's like a smooth hour and a half, like movies used to be. So it doesn't take up too
Smooth.
much of your life. The soundtrack was working perfectly for what the movie was. Um, and another Back to the Future connection. The mother of Dennis in the movie is also Lorraine from Back to the Future. So it's good to see her and other stuff and how young she was back then and doing her thing. I really just enjoyed the movie. But yeah, that's what I've been doing this past week. Dan, tell us about what you've been up to.
Well, I went down the rabbit hole of doing a vocal rest last
Mm,
Friday. So I went through some of my lovely chat submissions and we checked out some new music, found some really dope bands, some cool songs. One of them would be the Darko song that you just experienced. So that was interesting.
yep.
And I wanted to talk about Throne real quick because I just showed you them. So in the days of old when me and you did music,
Mhm.
kind of the formula and the way you did things were you got together as band, you wrote stuff. Usually you would have like a main songwriter, like the main person that would come up with like your riffs and like kind of what's gonna do, and everybody would chip in and help with like ideas and ways to transition and parts and stuff like that, right? Like,
Mhm.
and then you would write several songs usually, and you would make like an album or an EP. Like you would try to make a collective, like a group thing, and then
Mhm.
you would repeat the cycle going on. This band, like I said, is Phil Jarta's drummer, is not doing that. They're literally releasing singles. I don't remember how many singles. I think you can listen to all their songs in like probably under 30 minutes. But they're releasing singles. They're all under 3 minutes, and each single is a banger. They're not doing an album. They're just like putting everything into that one song, release it like fully polished. So essentially, what it's doing is for the like back then, you would get an album, and Christian, I'm sure you'll agree, you would find several tracks that are just like, oh, this it's so good. So you'd always skip the filler tracks, if you will, to get to the banger
Yeah.
tracks, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're essentially eliminating this because nowadays with short form content and everything, they're just going straight to banger, 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 banger because people are going to add them to their workout list, like you did. Literally, what you just did, like I'm gonna put it on my workout list, or I'm gonna
Mhm.
put it on this playlist. Like they're just putting out super polished, good songs, and it's actually brilliant strategy and marketing. And I think it's
It is.
crazy. The band's been around for like maybe 2 years, and they already have over 1 million concurrent monthly listeners. So
Fantastic.
super smart strategy. And as someone who like I said, I used to do a lot of like the booking and stuff like that for our band. Someone that's done that, it just fascinates me the way the music industry has changed. But it does make sense with streaming and how everything is. So I thought it was really cool, and I've kind of dug that. Past that, I watched something I'm sure we'll talk about here in a minute over the weekend. I've been playing a little bit more Final Fantasy 16. I haven't got to play a lot, sadly.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and I started a show, Christian.
What you
I
start?
started a show. Literally today, I've watched the first episode, and I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard about it, I was skeptical, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch it. And then as it's gotten closer, the hype is built, and then the reviews come out, and the reviews have been fantastic.
Oh, good.
And I watched it, and I'm going to first go on record and say I do not fully know the lore of this show. I do not know it all. I've played a little bit of the games, but I haven't played all of them and enough to like fully know everything in this universe. And this show is Fallout.
Ooh.
I watched the first episode, and I have to say I'm hooked. I want to go watch more now. I was super interested. I have a few notes in my detailed note fashion. First off, the visuals are great. I think the visuals look fantastic. It looks so good. The shots, the way like the sets are designed and everything, like I'm really digging it. Next, it seems to be staying, from what I know, true to the game. I saw everything from like stems, like what is the little stem pack that you could get, stuff in the vault, down to raiders, all kinds of stuff. The beginning, this is not a spoiler. It's literally in the first like 10 minutes of the show. When you play a Fallout game, you've played Fallout games, right?
Of course.
Okay. You know how you can set up your characteristics, like your special abilities, like this person's good at science and this person is better at phys ed and blah, blah, all that. The main character's actually reading what she's good at, and it's those stats. She's like, I'm excel at science projects that I do with my father, and I do this, and, you know, I'm okay at, like, target practice with weaponry. And I'm just like, nice. Okay, that's actually super cool. I dig that. The vaults are really cool and crazy. And then, of course, my final note, and probably my most important note, Walton effing Groggins. It's all you need to know. I think I said his name right.
Groggins, yeah.
It's Groggins. Isn't it 2 G's?
I think it's Goggins.
There's a no R? I might have screwed his name up. Anyways, he's a dude from Vice Principal. He's a dude from Righteous Gemstones. He's been in all kinds of stuff. But, dude, the little bit I've got of him from this episode.
He was in Predators.
He was in Predators?
Yeah.
He's been in a lot of stuff.
Brody.
Dude is fan-damn-tastic in a little bit I've got of him. Like, I just want to watch his character. I'm already fascinated.
Oh, yeah, that's super good.
So I'm super excited.
That's what you want to hear.
I didn't, after it, Shogun is next on my list. I haven't watched it. And full disclosure, why? Because I was like, I'm going to watch the episode today to get going on it. I thought it was done. I thought it was only a couple episodes. It was 8 episodes in, and there's 2 more to come. So I was like, I'm going to wait till it's finished. That way I can just watch it in its entirety and not have to wait week to week. Because I'm already so far behind, might as well. And all of Fallout's already out. Like, all 8 episodes are out on Amazon Prime right now. So I was like, I'll just knock that out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I did lie to you. Not lie, but I forgot. I did finally get to play Dragon's Dogma 2. I haven't played enough of it to really give you my opinion of the game. I only got to play the first part. There's just so much going on in life right now. But I did get to make my character. That was awesome. It's intimidating. There's a lot you can do, a lot you can change. Like, you can go in and make your face if you want to. That's how detailed it is. Like, there's not enough hair in the world for games for you to have the perfect hair, but they do have more than one style of dreadlocks, so that's awesome. Of course, you get like the gentrified dread haircut that like Miles Morales has. That's like flop to the side kind of. It's like every black character in any medium right now has that haircut, and it's really annoying, to be honest with you. The Killmonger haircut is what it is.
So I have a confession. Like I said, I haven't played a ton of the games. I've played several of them. I've never played 76, but after watching the first episode, I think I'm going to download it.
I haven't played 76 because
so you should download it too. There's the thing. This is where I'm going with this. You should download it because I already convinced the one and only Living Tej. He's currently downloading it as we speak, which it wasn't hard to convince him. I was just like, hey, I think I'm going to play it, and he's like, downloading now.
If I had the space on my PlayStation and
make space,
would do it, I would do it. It's hard just because Dragon's Dogma is such a big game, so much to do in it.
I mean,
I don't want to take too much. I want to take too much time off of that because all the free time I have for gaming is pretty much going into that right now. But anyway, as you were.
All right. So now where we go? What? Do you want to talk about what we watched over the weekend?
I do. Yeah. Kind of, yeah. I want to talk about something that we watched this week, for sure. But you go first. Tell me what let's talk about what we talked about we saw over the weekend first, because that's shorter.
Yeah.
And what we watched recently is longer. So yeah, we'll do that.
All right. So over the weekend, it was WrestleMania 40. And we both watched it, apparently. I had people over, so I'm not going to lie. Saturday, I was so busy cooking that I was cooking literally I started Friday night and cooked all through Saturday. and had delicious, scrumptious food that Christian missed out on.
I
But
did miss out.
I had to rewatch the stuff, me and the missus later, for Saturday. But I enjoyed it. I have to say, it's got to be one of my favorite WrestleManias probably in a long time. I think from top to bottom, it was very enjoyable. It was very fun. I think Triple H is doing an awesome job, and I'm really digging that they're really pushing that this is his era and not Vince's. I am sad, though, because I'm one of the few people that really like the Roman run.
Yeah.
And just because I don't think you'll see anything like that again, probably in my lifetime, not that lengthy of a run, because you get the babyface always wins, gets the belt, then we'll lose it eventually, and then it's the chase the heel, normal charades that we get, the good, evil. This was a dude that was essentially a bad guy for 4 years, just dominating, just Thanosing the entire roster, hook or crook. And I got to see it firsthand. We got to go live to one, and I think it was awesome. I was a little sad it had to come to an end, but I mean, I'm happy for Cody. I think he should have won. I think he needed to win one eventually, anyways. I do think there might be fuckery coming soon. I've seen some reports that they've changed the name of the title and that Roman may still have the other title, so his reign is still going. I don't know, but there's a whole bunch of stuff coming, so we'll see. What did you think about the show? Did you enjoy it?
You mean as a whole?
Yeah, as a whole.
As a whole, I enjoyed it. I don't think that it was the best. I think so. I think it was the best WrestleMania we had in the last 3 years. Like since 2020, I think it's been the best.
Oh God, since before 2020.
Yeah, I mean,
2020 was the no fans because COVID.
Exactly. And since then it's just not been it's not been where it needs to be. I think this was the first WrestleMania in recent years that was big enough to feel like a WrestleMania. There were a couple of matches over the course of the 2 nights that I thought stood out above all the other matches.
Okay.
The Roman Cody wrestle match was fun because of the story. Had that story not been what it was, then it wouldn't have been nearly as cool. But also, how many wrestling matches, especially nowadays, do you have where you have Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, The Rock, Seth Rollins showing up, the fucking Undertaker comes back?
I think that was supposed to be Stone Cold, from what I understand, which would have been almost like the Mount Rushmore of the last several, big stars. Yeah. You got Roman into Rock, into Cena, Stone Cold, the big names that kind of went over. Which Undertaker fit fine, and it works, and it was a cool pop.
Yeah, I will say, if Stone Cold had showed up,
I think it's a money thing, maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong. I have no clue.
I don't know, but if Stone Cold would have showed up, that would have been my favorite. That would have been my favorite WrestleMania moment of the entire both nights, just because Stone Cold's my favorite wrestler. So yeah, I'm biased, but also it's fucking Stone Cold, bro. His music starts, the pop doesn't stop. That's how it goes. And his music is fun as hell. It's not slow. It's just the speed it needs to be. He does what he does. He's on pay-per-view. They're allowed to cuss right now, kind of. We could have seen him just unleash with his words, right? We get to see The Rock get on right now and just be what he was, as close as he can be.
That's
to
worse
what he was
than
in the
he
90s.
was. Dude's dropping F-bombs like crazy.
No,
Did you hear him in the middle of Mania? Which Mania is different; it's pay-per-view, but he was doing it on live TV a lot. But in Mania, what was it? He told the ref, he was like, "Don't fuck with me" or something like that, and I was like, "Damn!"
Yeah, essentially, what I'm trying to say is, The Rock was given a mic and just allowed to just talk, because that's the kind of performer that he was, right? He is. And we get to see that now. Of course, there's a lot more profanity, but profanity doesn't bother me. Obviously, I cuss all the time, so that's cool. But I'm saying, if it were Stone Cold, it would have been that much better, because what he says on a mic as opposed to what The Rock says is different. They're different entertainers. The Rock is more comedy and I can do this, I can do that. Stone Cold's more
I don't think Stone Cold would have got a mic though. He probably would have come in stunned and left. Maybe drank a beer on the way out.
But I know that. But I'm saying what I'm saying is, imagine if he were allowed to be on a mic for whatever the reason, like the
Well,
stuff
with
that
them
he could
going to
say.
Netflix soon, I mean, when he makes his appearances, all bets are off. They can be wild.
Do whatever they want.
Yeah, for at least for
Yeah.
Raw or whatever.
But going back to favorite stuff, like I really enjoyed the women's what was it? It was a 6-person tag match.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. That was like the coolest match that we got, and it was only like 8 minutes. That match was dope. I wish that they got higher on the card. Like they deserve to be higher on the card. That match was too good to just be 8 minutes. So I really liked that. It was so fun to see. Everybody was giving it their best. There were some botches, yeah, but they were like small botches. Like I thought it was really good. And another, I'll tell you the match that I
If
like
you
the
don't praise
most.
Seth Rollins, I'm gonna throw something through the monitor at you.
Seth Rollins' own thing. Like I wanted to get into that later. Like Seth, I it's rare. It is rare that you see Seth Rollins phone it in. Like he's just one of those performers.
That's what was it in one of the interviews? Triple H said something like, "When you need a title to have relevance, when you make like this new title, he's like, what do? You put it on Seth Rollins."
Mm-hmm.
And dude busted his ass, and he busted his ass. He also got the hell beat out of him all weekend. Like, dude really did catch the brunt of all the shit all weekend with a bad back. Apparently, he has a bad back going, and he's having like multiple knee issues. So, dude's like busted up as is, still going through it, and got his ass kicked 2 nights. And one was a 40-minute match with the tag team match.
Yeah.
Like, God.
I'll say that drifting off topic really quickly, Jonathan Fatu, like the wrestler who I forget what company he was wrestling for. Now I think he's a free agent now or about to be, but he showed up to help out.
What are you talking about?
Which it's one of the Fatus. It's not
the one that they
Usos.
signed from another company hasn't showed up yet. The twins have already been there.
Yeah, who am I thinking about?
You're talking about Jay.
Uso? I guess so. No, I think I'm mixing up 2 different things. I'm sorry because I was doing a bunch of research on someone else, and I think I'm mixing those up right now. I did so the Usos match. Let me talk about that real quick.
That was one of the. I'm sorry, that match could have been a lot better.
Dude, match was.
I thought that
ass.
match was going to be really good, and
that match
was flat.
Sucked. It was one of the worst ones.
I was disappointed.
Night. I hated it. I hated it with a passion.
That was one of the matches that I was like, okay, that's not as good as I was hoping.
I was so bored. Let me say this because I don't want to like drift too long. My favorite match of both nights, surprisingly, was Logan Paul, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens. That was my favorite one. I thought that match was like I give that match a 9.5 out of 10. It was fantastic. I loved it. I liked that he kept the belt. I was really into it. He's a really good heel. He puts in work. He uses his body the right way. Like I really, really liked that match. I thought it was dope. It was my favorite on the card. And then with the Rhea and Becky match, that one was not as good as I needed it to be. It was fun, but it wasn't as good as I needed it to be. And obviously, she had a really good intro. I thought that was cool. I really thought her intro was cool. It wasn't the best one that I've seen for sure, but it was real cool. I think The Rock had a really fun intro as well. Night one, as like the final boss kind of thing. That would have landed more for me if he actually was like the final boss, but the final boss was.
I don't think the story's over.
I don't think it's over either. We'll see. Like I would really like for him to build up and be that. I also hated whatever that white suit is he came out in, dude. I thought
he was going to wrestle him for me. I was like, what in the hell is he wearing?
He looked like Elvis, bro. I hated it.
This man is this big, this jacked. He's coming out here in this bullshit.
Yeah, I thought that was silly, man. I thought that was silly. Him whipping people though, that was funny. But yeah,
Roman
man,
was in the best shape I think he's ever been in. Roman was like shredded.
Dude, Roman was a beast, and I really liked him talking smack to that reporter. Kicked the reporter out.
Yeah.
Because they said boo, and he was like, "Who said that? Get him out of here." No, I'm serious.
Sami Zayn's match was pretty good. I think Bayley's match was really good with Io.
I wish that match was. I honestly wish that match was better. It wasn't bad by any means.
Which one?
I just wanted. Yeah.
I thought Bayley's.
I wanted Bayley's. wanted it to be bigger. I think it's just because I like both of those women so much. I think they're fantastic performers. I just wanted their match to be bigger. I think that's all
Fair.
it is. Um, I don't even remember every single match off the top of my head because, like I said, not all of them were that
Well,
important to me.
I
And
know
the
you're
ones
gonna
that
rant on
stuck
something
out,
coming up, so you need to reel it in.
I do need to reel it in. So I'll default that back to you.
That was quick. All right, but yeah,
Yeah.
overall, like I enjoyed it. It was a good weekend. And I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
Mm.
We always look forward to it every year. We always do some kind of thing and do a lot of cooking and hang out, and it's always just a fun thing. So, yeah, it was fun though. Roman is still the tribal chief and still.
I was honestly, I was legit like I was happy for Cody, like you said.
Yeah.
But Roman losing kind of hurt a little bit, just because
It's
I
funny.
I
Even the
like
missus,
Roman
who
as a
usually is
heel.
like whatever, Cody finished story. Even she was like, "I want Roman to win." I'm like, I know, right?
Mhm.
It's just it's something you don't see. That's my thing, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like think people don't like understand. Like over the years, I mean, the last reign of any significance like that would have been Hogan, and Hogan's like what in the '80s, early '90s when that
Mhm.
happened, maybe early '90s, probably '80s when he did that.
The last thing that I'll say
So I
about
mean, this
WrestleMania,
reign of 1,000, what was it, 1,316 days is
I think it was
crazy.
longer than that.
That's crazy.
I will say I think the last thing I want to say about wrestling right now is all the whole feud, like Roman's success, all of that. You cannot have Roman Reigns as he stands right now without Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman put Roman in the best position that he could be in.
Paul
Roman
Heyman
did
just
the work.
he amplified it because
Yeah,
he's such a
don't get me
good
wrong.
manager.
Roman did the work for sure, but Paul Heyman being an advocate, dude, like it's so good. If you get a chance, anybody listening, anybody watching, send yourself. If you get an opportunity, you get a few minutes of free time, just watch like a compilation of Paul Heyman hyping up Roman Reigns, and it gets you hype. It gets
Did
you
you
hype
see
because he's that
the
good.
end of the match when everybody's celebrating and like Roman goes back up the ramp, like him and Paul, like I think Roman breaks down a little bit, and him and
Does
Paul Heyman embrace,
yes,
and it's like damn.
yeah, I saw that. I saw that. That was fantastic.
Paul Heyman,
That's
best manager probably ever. I mean, dude's
ever for
yeah.
sure.
All right, but enough of WrestleMania 40. I just saw a thing come across my Twitter. Apparently, if this is true or not, I don't know, but Dana White announces that Octagon canvas will be blue for UFC 300 this coming Saturday. That's weird. Like blue,
I haven't
blue.
seen that yet, but okay.
That's gonna be interesting. Before we get into more Christian rants, do we want to tackle the? It's not a big list of horror news, but do we want to talk about it real quick?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so what I have first and foremost is something that I think will tickle Christian's pickle, and that is Beetlejuice and Burton. Have you seen this?
No, I have not.
We're going all in on practical effects, baby. He is super on board with just doing practical effects.
Oh, I did see this.
And
Yes,
I
did.
am 110% on board. Yes, sir. Literally, don't show me or say anything else. You gave me what I need in the trailer. You're telling me it's mostly practical effects. We're not going to have a bunch of overboard CGI bullshit. Yes, I'm sold. I will go see it. I'm good. I don't need anything else. You told me what I needed and showed me. I'm happy.
I agree 100%.
So, super stoked about that. Next thing, Lionsgate and Blumhouse are bringing back, or maybe rebooting, I guess would probably be the correct term, Blair Witch.
Yeah, they are rebooting it.
That is going to be interesting. I am curious to see how that goes. I swear to God, if it says David Gordon Green is directing, I will headbutt something so hard and just give up on anything and everything.
I don't think that they will do that to themselves.
I
To
will
be
jump
honest
out this
with you,
window. Just because if I see his name attached to another horror franchise and they're like, oh, let's make it another trilogy, I'm just going to be done.
I mean, though I agree with you, I doubt that they would put themselves in
Well,
the
if they're
position
doing
like
anytime
that.
soon, he won't have time because he's on the Exorcist bandwagon right now.
Well, they took him off. I don't know if you heard
Well,
about that.
good.
But he's not doing the
Good.
rest of them.
Great.
Not only is he not doing the rest of them, they don't know how they're going to film those or create
You
those right now.
shouldn't.
So
It doesn't
it's
need a damn trilogy.
on the back burner for sure.
God, jeez. Okay. moving on. Scary Movie is getting a reboot through Paramount, which is
That's true.
I don't know. Those movies are.
I don't know how you're going to redo those movies.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you're just going to start over with
yeah.
the modern horror movies, I guess.
Well, they came out at I don't think they're like remaking them. I think what they should have said is
no, it's reboot. They're rebooting it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I read. They're rebooting it, or Paramount is paying for that. There is, which this is not really a horror movie, but it was in the horror movie news. Why, I don't know. New live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin movie in the works, and it will be rated R.
I did see that. I think I saw the same thing that you saw that you're looking at. I actually have that whole list right here on a sticky
Was it from Bloody Disgusting?
It's not from Bloody Disgusting, but Bloody Disgusting and where I was looking at have the same.
Well, I'd seen these over the week, and like I was writing them down, and of course that was like one of my summaries, and like had a lot of it, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's all of this is coming from CinemaCon, which is going on currently.
Five Nights at Freddy's 2 confirmed for 2025, which not a surprise considering the success of the first one. Obviously, people wanted it because of the huge following of the game. And to be fair, when I watched it, it was not awful. It wasn't the worst thing I've seen. Like, I watched it. I watched the second one. Is it something I'm most excited about? No, but I'm definitely going to watch it. And then final one, I'm not going to lie. When I saw this rumor, it kind of hurt my heart a little bit. But luckily, hopefully, this is truthful. It has been debunked. And the rumors are that Dead Space 2 was canceled. The remake. But EA has now come back and said that they are denying that that is true and is not the case. So, don't play with my emotions, EA, because I will happily play remakes of Dead Space. Just give me my damn remake, and let's go about business.
To piggyback off of that, I love Dead Space, and I really want them to remake Dead Space 2. However, I would hope that they stop it too, because I did not like Dead Space 3.
Well, they're not going to listen to you. I mean, they're not going to listen to me either. They're probably, who knows. Did you have any other horror news?
Yeah, they showed us the first images from the Nosferatu film coming out.
Ooh,
and
I haven't seen that.
It has your boy as Nosferatu. What's his? He's in everything right now.
Skarsgård, isn't it?
Skarsgård, yeah.
Bill, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What the? Alexander's the other one.
Yeah, he's the one from True Blood.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that they did show the images for that.
Actually, why you said that, I actually want to look. I'm gonna look that up while you're saying.
I didn't see him as Count Olaf yet. I saw the other lead. The
was it a trailer or just images?
Just images. I do have more news. It's not necessarily like horror news, but looking at other films that are coming out due to CinemaCon. Sonic 3, they released some footage on that, so we'll be seeing that here soon. And they also are hiding who the voice of Shadow the Hedgehog is going to be, so I'm excited to hear what that's going to be. For those of you Trekkies, there is going to be a Star Trek 4 film.
Isn't it's a picture of I don't know who this actress is, but it's a picture of the actress, and then it's just a claw. Essentially, it's Nosferatu's hand.
Shadow.
Yeah, that's it.
Shadow.
That's the hand, image. That's all we got. I was hoping we would see him. That's what I was looking for.
No, not yet. They're gonna hold that off.
I mean,
they're gonna hold that off for a little while. But Star Trek 4 is coming out. Naked Gun is getting rebooted. I'm not really a Naked Gun fan, but there are a lot of people out there who love it, so that's getting rebooted. Another reboot that's happening that I don't know how I feel about, starring Glenn Powell, is The Running Man. I love the Running Man starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, so seeing that be remade is going to be different for sure. I wonder if they're going to lean more towards the original story or just kind of remake the movie that I just mentioned. But either way, that's getting remade. There is going to be a Transformers G.I. Joe spinoff film coming out. We are getting an animated Avatar: The Last Airbender film that takes place after the series, which follows Aang as an older Aang. So
And
we do get to
Batista, I
see
just
that.
saw, has signed on to that. He's voicing somebody.
I didn't hear what you said there.
Batista's voicing somebody in that animated.
Oh, that's
He
cool.
signed on. I think I saw that today. And then I forget it's a
Hmm.
K-pop star voicing Aang, I think.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool. And then I do know that there's another Transformers movie coming out, and it's called Transformers One. Don't know what that means. I don't know if that means Transformers Generation One, like we're going back to like the old '80s comics for the first generation of actual like robots. Optimus looks just like a truck, like he's supposed to. That he's looked like in a couple of the films now, but like we get like Hot Shot and shit like that. Like I'm hoping that that's what it is, but I don't know yet, so we'll see. But I do know that those are some movies that are coming out. Most of the movies coming out are either sequels to something that came out a long time ago, or they're remakes. There's a lot of remakes, a lot of reboots coming out. I think that 2025, 2026, we're going to get the reboot itis not sorry not itis but we're getting fatigue because so many things coming out are not original IPs. And I think one of the reasons why we're about to get so many rebooted films is because of the strike that just happened, and how they're trying to resolve some of those things. And Hollywood's trying to make some money real quick. And the easiest way to do that is to focus on existing IP. So we'll see what happens. And hopefully a lot of this stuff is good, but you know, only time will tell.
All
So I
right.
guess we can move on to the next thing that we have to talk about, which I think is what we just watched recently this week, but you let me know.
X-Men time, correct?
That is right.
X-Men
X Men
97,
97.
episode 5.
5.
All right. Listeners, I know you're ready to soak in this knowledge of beautiful notes. So, let's get down to business. All right, X-Men episode 5. I forgot the title. Christian, what's the title?
Remember it.
Remembering. All right. So,
Oh,
here's my
remember
notes.
it.
Remember it?
Yeah.
Remember it. Okay. Love troubles and triangles. We see that in full force with two different groups of love triangles going on a little bit. Almost one can almost be a love square technically. But Scott, Jean, and Madeline are one, which is a whole clusterfuck of a mess. I mean, that is just, yeah. Scott is pissed off and mourning, which I'm not gonna lie, I like the angry Cyclops. I liked him kind of grumpy and pissed off in the in his interview, because he's always the Boy Scout. He's always the clean cut Boy Scout. Jean apparently hasn't spoke to him, and Madeline is contacting him via the astral plane. So she's sliding them DMs through the astral plane while him and Jean aren't talking. So he's got one Jean lookalike sliding in while the other one's ignoring him. Scott has feelings because Madeline gave birth to his son. So, yeah. He's also mourning Cable, his son. Let's see. Wolverine gets a little bit of that sugar. And he says, "You're Jean Grey. He's Scott Summers. That's all." And then rumbles off. That's about it. But he got a little bit of that kissy, smoochy. Nightcrawler. Yes, that's the note. I was so damn happy when I saw Nightcrawler. When I saw him in the intro, I was already like, okay, I'm happy with this episode. I just want to see Nightcrawler. Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit is your other love triangle. Gambit is the third wheel when they go to Genosha. Gambit is 100% the third wheel. He gets talked into by, actually, I think it is Nightcrawler. He gets talked into him that he should marry Rogue. He should make his move and go marry Rogue. Magneto gets asked to be the head of Genosha, and his stipulation is he wants Rogue to be his queen. Rogue then turns around and breaks Gambit's heart, but he says something be deeper than skin, which is such a nice line. Magneto and Rogue do their best creepy floaty dance where they kiss, and she says the same exact thing to Magneto. Cable appears. He talks to his mom, Madeline, in a nice little scene. We get to see future Cable finally, not just baby Cable. Attack happens with, I don't know what the hell that thing's called, but it's a 3-headed sentinel. And it's dropping a bunch of baby sentinels, lots of destruction and casualties. Magneto puts up a great fight, but is outmatched by this 3-headed sentinel thing. Nightcrawler gets blasted. So I got one episode, then he got blasted. He's still alive, but he got the hell knocked out of him.
Then he got blasted.
He got blasted, bro. Magneto appears to be blown up when protecting the Murlocs. He's over there shielding them with his magnetic powers and appears to get bested. Rogue then goes into full Archer rampage mode, and Gambit ends up stopping her by charging a motorcycle and throwing it at her and stops her. Let's see. Then he takes his shot at stopping this 3-headed sentinel thingy, only to get stabbed. To which he then charges the whole sentinel and blows it up, going out in a blaze of glory. The X-Men watch the TV to see the destruction because they are not there, and they see all the chaos and everything going on. And we end with Rogue saying she can't feel Gambit anymore, and he appears to be dead, which sucks. And those are my notes, Christian. Very detailed. They actually have more this time. I had more thoughts.
Did.
Yeah. All right, do your thing.
So what I have to say is just like it always is for new listeners. I just have slightly more detailed notes. I'm gonna go through those really quickly because I know we're running short on time. In the intro this time around, when previously on X-Men, you hear that it's Gambit this time, and that's very telling. Why he is saying it in this episode. Every time somebody says previously on X-Men, that episode usually means that it's going to be their episode. So that makes sense. Also, in the intro this time, you do see Nightcrawler pop up, like you said. You also see Cable fighting Apocalypse. So I thought that was a really cool thing.
In the
and
intro?
You were absolutely in the intro during the music, during the intro theme. You see Cable versus Apocalypse, and it looks really good. So that let me know that Cable was going to be in the episode. I didn't think that Apocalypse would be in the episode just because it was too soon for him to show up. But we know what he's going to look like whenever he does show up. So I thought that was awesome to see. This episode is very much a soap opera. Like you kind of just said, a lot of love triangles and stuff going on. A lot of people feeling heartbroken. It is definitely in this episode. But for those of you who are initiated, that's pretty much what the X-Men has always been. And that's why it's so relatable. That's why it's so easy to get into and stay into. Moving on, Gambit only goes to Genosha because Rogue is going with Magneto. So he is third wheeling for sure, but he's also
he's
trying
cock
to
walking a little bit. He's like, "Oh, you're going
Exactly.
Magneto. I'm gonna roll along."
Exactly. That's exactly what's happening. Also, I wanted to bring up that we get to see a lot of mutants in Genosha.
Was one
Some of them,
Archangel or whatever? Was that who
Angel's
got
definitely in the
destroyed?
background.
Because I thought that was them. I also remember Frost.
Yeah, in the episode. Yeah, there's so many mutants in the episode. I wrote some of them down, so as I'm going notes, if I wrote down who I saw, I'll let you know. Glob Herman, we see. That's the pink skeleton looking dude. He is a mutant that's skin is essentially like living wax. That's why you can see through him and see his skeleton. He's super fast, super strong. He's durable. He can light himself on fire. He can do all kinds of shit. He's not like the most powerful mutant in the world, but he does have a lot of powers. And yeah, that we get to see him, and I thought that was just a cool thing. We get to see the council for Genosha, which is essentially just the fucking Hellfire Club. For those of you who read the comics, you know who those are. Madeline Pryor is also on the island as one of the leaders. I thought that was cool to have her come back so soon. That was really nice to see. Moira Taggart is in it. For those of you reading comics currently, we know that Moira isn't necessarily a good person, but old school X-Men Moira was. So it's really nice to see her as a more subdued character in the show and not her comic book counterpart right now. So that's nice to see. Moving on, Val, the blonde woman in red that you see that's always after Magneto and talking down to him and wanting to arrest him and all that shit. I think that Val is actually Mystique in disguise. And the reason why I think that is because she has such a hate on for Magneto, and it would just make sense for her to not just be a normal person. I think
You
that
talking about the
she
UN
is
person that was there?
yes.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Following.
I
Gotcha.
think I think I think she is Mystique. Also,
Which
at
we
the
haven't
end of the
seen it. That'd be
episode,
dope, actually.
it makes sense. It
Yeah.
makes sense. It makes sense. And when you also, there's a couple of reasons why I say that because I'm skipping my notes real quick, but I just want to get into this really quickly. The reason why I think she's Val is because in this episode, two very telling things happen. One, Rogue talks about her evil mother, which was Mystique. And the other thing is in this episode, once the destruction happens, Val is there and she can see it, and they show her very prominently horrified at mutants getting slaughtered. And I think it's not because she feels bad for them. I think it's because she is a mutant, which would be Mystique in disguise. We haven't seen her yet. They drop a lot of hints to covertly, they drop a lot of hints to people who Mystique has impersonated before. And I think the reason for that is because she is impersonating this person here. So for those of you who are watching, just check it out. And
Do we know how
these
many
are
episodes there's going to be? Do we have any clue?
there's going to be 10 episodes of this
10?
show.
Okay, so we're
10
halfway
episodes,
through
yeah.
the season.
Halfway.
Okay.
I'm excited to see the rest. I'm really sorry, by the way. I forgot to mention spoilers for this, for the show and for the comics. I read a lot of comic books. It's kind of sad, but that's why I'm like popping off and saying all the stuff that I'm saying.
Do you have a huge box of all your comics or something? Do you have them?
I have a box here.
Or do you read
comics
them online?
I got.
I always wondered if you have like a massive collection of comics with how many.
I do both. I do both. So currently, I'm reading stuff online, but if I like the comic enough, then I just buy it.
Okay.
So that's how I do. And another thing is another reason why I buy them online is I'm running out of space because I have a lot of shit. So there's this thing called an omnibus, and an omnibus is just a big ass thick comic that has an entire run of a story in it. And I like to collect those because they're just easier to put on a shelf and they look good. And it's like when the omnibus comes out, particularly, it's like roughly $100. So I can spend $100 on getting the entire run of a comic and have it all right there. Or I can buy them individually for like $4 or $5, and then end up spending twice that amount for the run. So that's what I've been doing recently, just to save space. I love having single issue comics, but like I said, it's just hard to keep up with. But if it's an issue that I really fucking love, I'll buy it. Moving on. Gambit and Nightcrawler pops up, like you said, and that shit was awesome. I love seeing him in it. He didn't have a lot of stuff to do, but he didn't need a lot of stuff to do because he's fucking Nightcrawler.
I like Nightcrawler. I know you hate on him. I dig Nightcrawler. I always like playing him in games too. He was fun.
Yeah, Nightcrawler is really cool. But
I'm trying to remember what game I played him last. Was he in he wasn't in Ultimate Alliance, was he? Or was he? There was a game I played him, and he was an absolute blast. Like, I had so much fun just teleporting around with him the whole time.
I like Nightcrawler, but I don't love Nightcrawler. I think he's cool, but like people overhype the shit out of him, and that's kind of annoying to me. But there are characters that I like that people overhype the shit out of too. Like, for an example, I have always loved Wolverine, but since like 2002, or I'm sorry, 2000, Wolverine has been everybody's favorite because of the movies. And I'm just like, well, I liked him when he was a short, stinky little yellow guy. I liked him that.
Short, stinky,
and he is. That's in the comics. Wolverine smells bad because he doesn't shower all the time. And yeah, they don't really talk about that anymore. I think Wolverine has started to enjoy taking showers, but back in the 80s,
Jackman made him take a shower.
Probably. But back in the day, Wolverine was a little stinky boy, man. I'll tell you what.
He was a stinky kid in class. You didn't want danger room assignment with him.
Exactly.
He smelled like onions and corn chips.
Smelled like something, and it wasn't good. But moving on, I love this detail in the episode. Gambit, once they get to Genosha and start looking at stuff, he immediately notices something is very suspect, and he starts seeing like signs, and they show it real quick. There are signs for apples you can buy, $10. $10 for apples. And Gambit notices that and clocks it, starts talking about it like something isn't right here. And I think that's because the council, which we know to be the Fire Club, because I just told you guys if you didn't already know, they're not good people. They're not good mutants. They're evil. So yeah, they're probably trying to take over Genosha in their own way, and they kind of say that to Magneto. Like they want Magneto to be the poster child of Genosha because people like and respect him right now because of what he did at the UN. And I think that they're using that as their ammunition. And they also say that they wanted Professor X to be the poster person, but because he's not around right now, and he gave his X-Men to Magneto, he's the next best choice. So that's what they're doing. Some cameos that I clocked right at this time were Multiple Man we saw, and then the person shooting all that shit out of her hands with the short hair, that was Dazzler. So I thought that was really cool to see. Um, I love that we got to cut back to the drama with Cyclops and with Jean and all that, and he's giving his speech, not his speech, but his interview. It seems to be totally fine for a little while until he brings up his son Nathan, and bam, shit just pops the fuck off. He goes crazy. He lies about it. She catches. He just fucking goes off. Rightfully so, though. I mean, it's a prying question. He doesn't want to talk about it. She doesn't know why. The humans of that world don't know why. But it's really hurtful for him. He told us in the episode that it happened, that he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to give up his son because he has really bad trauma with his own father, who you saw in the original series. But if you forgot, Cyclops' dad sucks. He doesn't take care of any of his kids because Cyclops has, like, I think 3 brothers. They all have their own unique version of the power. One of those brothers was in this episode on the council, which was Havoc. So I thought that was cool to see. But yeah, he goes off, and that doesn't look good for anybody. You see Jean, who is hiding away under the lake to get away from the press. Wolverine finds her, goes to talk to her about everything. And in her confusion, she kisses him, but she doesn't kiss him because she's confused. She kisses him because she's confused about her memories. And one of those memories is her liking Logan, which she does and she always has. But Scott is the person that she chooses all the time. And Wolverine wanted that kiss, but not this way. And that's why he kind of brushes it off. You're Jean, he's Scott, you're meant to be, blah, blah, blah. Like he does that because it is hurtful to him too. Wolverine is a badass, yes, but he does have feelings just like everyone else. And this is going to twist him the fuck up. But I do like this detail. This has happened in almost every episode. Every single time Jean or Madeline is going through some shit in an episode, the only person that checks up on her, no matter what, is Wolverine. So I don't know if you've clocked that, but that's something that I constantly
Jean's kind of his
notice.
Achilles heel, though.
Absolutely, 100%. Moving on, so to keep it going, Magneto, like I said, is the poster boy. He said he'll only do it if Rogue does it too, which he talks to her about. She gets pissed off about it because it is bribery, essentially, and he just wants her to be with him. And she softly agrees to do it. We don't see that, but she goes to talk to Gambit here in a bit. But Jean catches Scott psychically cheating on her with Madeline.
Madeline was like age, sex, location.
Exactly. But they've been talking like this for about a month. Scott's been keeping it a secret because he hasn't really been talking to Jean. Jean hasn't really trying to give him the space that he needs because he just lost his son. He's trying to give her the space she needs because she's confused about some of her memories because she literally comes back and finds out that there's a clone of her. Scott married that clone. Scott got that clone pregnant, has a whole ass marriage and relationship with her. Like all this shit's happening. And the same for Madeline too. She finds out that she's essentially not a real person, but she is. Finds out that Scott might not be into her, just Jean, and she's not her own person, and she had a kid, and all this stuff. Like so much shit's going on with them. Like I said, soap opera, but it makes sense. Scott, however, does he's psychically cheating on her with Madeline. He doesn't tell her about it. He gets caught. Jean's pissed. She's hurt. Scott's trying to throw it back at her, but it doesn't really. And I get it. And then right after all of that, we see that Jean gets a psychic surge. Some people I saw thought that that meant that she could sense that Sentinel coming, but I wholly disagree. I think that psychic surge she got was because Cable is coming. Cable is coming to their timeline, and she can feel it because Cable also is psychic. We don't see him use that ability much in the shows because he's always got big ass guns and shit. But he also has that ability. So that's why that's happening. And then later in the episode, notice it happened to Madeline too. And it happened to her so hard that her nose started bleeding. So there's a reason for that. Moving on, we see Angel, we see Azazel in a scene when they're dancing, and Azazel was in the old lore Nightcrawler's dad, the red version of Nightcrawler with the long hair you saw dancing. That's supposedly his father, so we saw him in the background. What else? What else? What else? Rogue and Magneto do their dance. She chooses Gambit though, because you've already told us that some things are deeper than skin. That happens. Madeline gets the spark, noticing that Cable's coming.
So I
but
had
they
to
don't
look
tell
up
us
too
that.
before you go.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious why Rogue could touch Magneto, but apparently it's because she absorbed some other kind of magnetic power or something from another mutant, and so it cancels out when she touches Magneto.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so
You
how
got
does
it
she
backwards.
Okay.
She can touch him and he can touch her because Magneto uses her to. He always has a small electromagnetic barrier around his body to keep him safe from harm. That's what he's doing so that he can touch her. So he's not technically touching her, but the pressure of his touch is on her skin and she can feel that.
Okay.
So that is how he gets around it. So, like, for example, if he wanted to kiss her, he could. If he wanted to touch her, he could. If he wanted to slide in, he could do
If you
that
want to butter
because
that
of that
biscuit,
power. If he wanted
which
to
he
butter that,
did
and
in the danger room.
here's the thing, Magneto. They say it in this episode because she tells Gambit everything. Her and Magneto were a whole ass couple for a while. They had been banging for a while. And that was like the first person that Rogue could be with. So she was giving him the business, if you will. And she realized over time that Magneto was damaged as shit. Like, he has all this PTSD. He wanted to kill all the humans. He wanted to do all this crazy shit that she wasn't down with. And that's why she left. Literally only left him because he had too much baggage. She was like, I can't deal with my shit and your shit. Like, you wanna hurt too many people, and I'm not about that life. So that's why she leaves. She tells Gambit. Gambit's hurt, throws his queen card in the fire yet again, and he walks off. And then once Rogue and Magneto do their little dance, he gets pissed off and tries to walk off again. Then in that moment, she chooses Gambit, but Gambit never hears that because Cable shows up, finds Madeline, and tells her to get everybody out because a Sentinel is coming. Obviously, this Sentinel was meant to kill everybody, which in the future, he clearly does kill everyone there. And that's why Cable is coming back to stop it, which he kind of does, but not really. So he gets his body slide thing kicks in and he gets pulled back and he says, I'm so sorry, Mom," talking to Madeline. Madeline knows who he is. They mention that. She's like, "You survived. I'm so happy." He slides back to his own time. She says, "So sorry for what?" And then boom, the explosion happens. Motherfuckers are getting killed left and right on this. And it's dude, I knew it was gonna happen, but it's so sad. It's so fucking sad. And I just noticed really quickly in the comment section that somebody, I didn't see who it was, but somebody mentioned that Rogue had absorbed Miss Marvel powers or whatever. Yes, the original Miss Marvel, she absorbed her so much so that she absorbed her entire personality and everything, her life force, essence, all that. And that's why Rogue has the ability to fly because she took everything from her. But yeah, that's in there. And that's an old school comic. That's really cool. Whoever said that, like, you're initiated. I like that. There you go, Titan. Good job. But moving on, just to keep it moving. Nightcrawler comes in clutch and saves the day. He saves Rogue, he saves Magneto. I think he saves Gambit too, all from getting killed. But he gets hurt in the blast from the Sentinel by doing so, so he's out for the rest of the episode. And you see that Rogue goes over to touch him, but she can't because she'll kill him the rest of the way. So she stops, and then Gambit shows up to make sure that he's alive, which he is, and a fight ensues. And like I said, mutants are getting slaughtered left and right.
Did you say?
What is what?
The three-headed thing.
It's like a version of the Master Mold Sentinel. The Master Mold Sentinel is the Sentinel they fought in. where Wolverine got his claws charged up by Gambit and cut its head off, and it
Yeah.
fell back in the throne. That's a Master Mold Sentinel. So it's just a kaiju version of that, essentially, which Gambit says it's like a Godzilla Sentinel.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. All I can say is the action animation started popping the fuck off. And it
Again, the
was
animation is
amazing.
fantastic for this. I've
It
really
was
loved it.
so good. It started popping off, and they saved their money for this part because they knew they needed it. So what happens is essentially they are watching all of these mutants just get murdered instantly. This Sentinel is shooting this blast of energy that's essentially like a green, like Broly's blast from Dragon Ball Z, right? It's a wave of energy that just evaporates them. It's killing them on the spot. Magneto starts having a panic attack, like not a panic attack, but like PTSD visions and shit. And he gets fucking pissed, and he's just like, "Never again! They will be avenged." And he takes this train out of nowhere and just starts using it as a whip and beating the dog shit out of this crazy Sentinel kaiju. Um, it doesn't last too long, but the Sentinel says something that I've been waiting for it to say for a while. Mega level threat detected, talking about Magneto, of course. Magneto is a mega level and starts to take him out. So Magneto is not only using him and the Morlocks because he promised them that he would protect them. He promised them, and he says a promise was made once the episode starts, or once the action starts. He says that, and he's protecting them because he's turning over a new leaf. He's trying to be good and think about people other than himself. And he also uses his power simultaneously to protect Rogue and Gambit. He uses metal wrap them up on a pole so they can't get away. Rogue starts to bust out, and he just completely encases them in metal. And he's looking at her directly in her eyes while he's doing this. And she's like, "Eric, don't do this. Don't you dare do this," because she knows what he's going to do. Gambit's like, "Hey, it's too late. We can't save him. He's doing this to protect us." And Magneto tells the Morlock kid in German, like, "Don't be afraid," as the Sentinel shoots this crazy blast of energy, and it seems that everybody's dead. But
Yeah, but we don't
notice,
see him, so
but the Sentinel doesn't say that the threat was eliminated. He says that the threat is neutralized.
yeah.
I don't know if you
Clearly,
caught
he's
that, but
not
that's what
dead.
he
I mean,
says.
if he was dead, they would have something.
Exactly. He says that Rogue is mega pissed at this point, starts charging full speed at the Sentinel. The Sentinel's head turns around to shoot her in the face and evaporate her, but Gambit's back on his bike, charges his bike completely up, and then pretty much throws it at Rogue to save her life. And then just starts popping the fuck off. He takes his staff out. He starts doing cool Gambit shit, stuff that you wanted to see all of our lives if we're a Gambit fan, like I am. And gets caught in the side by the Sentinel's little cable thing. Um, and he says, "The name is Gambit. Remember it," which is the name of the episode, charges the entire Sentinel up and blows it up. And a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, how strong is Gambit? How strong is Gambit?" I'm here to tell you right now, Gambit was destined to be much stronger than he is, but he had a surgery way back when limit his powers so that he'd have mastery over them. So Gambit's supposed to be stronger than he is, but he had a surgery that limits his powers so that he had full control of the amount of power that he does have. Oh yeah,
So
he
what we're
has the
saying
potential.
is Magneto couldn't beat the Sentinel, but Gambit did. So by simple math, Gambit is stronger than Magneto.
Nah, not at all. Gambit
Nope.
Gambit
That's
is
what we just
not.
said. That's the facts. You just said it.
No, I didn't. I think you're reaching because
Nope.
Magneto
Gambit.
is
Gambit's
born.
OP.
Obviously not, because he's fucking dead.
Well, he won, didn't he? Magneto didn't win.
Here's the thing. If Magneto was fighting the Sentinel without trying to protect all these people, it'd be different. It'd be completely different. But that was his whole mission, was to protect these people, and he was fighting out of rage. Gambit was the only one thinking straight because he already had so much to lose. He was already doing all this other shit. But like I said, Gambit says the name's Gambit Monami, remember it, which he says in the comics. I already told you guys he had surgery to limit his power so they have full mastery over them. But when Apocalypse takes Gambit to be one of the horsemen of Apocalypse, he takes that limiter away, and Gambit's much stronger and does some of the crazy shit that we just saw in this episode. But the X-Men, like you said earlier, see all the destruction that's happened, and the episode ends with Rogue holding Gambit, saying, "I can't feel him," with her bare hands and her bare skin, and Gambit is dead. But I don't think he's going to stay dead. I think that they'll either bring him back at the season or early season 2, because this X-Men 97 show has been greenlit for 2 other seasons.
Oh, nice.
We're going to get at least 3 seasons of this.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if each season will be 10 episodes, but it is greenlit for 2 more seasons.
I mean, there's
so
enough
I'm just excited.
X-Men content from the comics that they could totally do 10 episodes each season.
One other thing I wanted to bring up. This episode, the story is taken from a comic run called E is for Extinction. And the main villain of that story is the sister of Charles Xavier. Her name is Cassandra Nova. And for those of you who don't know who Cassandra Nova is, she's a fucking problem, and she's evil as shit. She's also bald like Professor X, which is kind of funny. But she is actually going to be the main villain in Deadpool and Wolverine, or Deadpool 3, whatever you want to call it. So she's the main villain in that. So when you see that movie, her name is Cassandra Nova. So when this movie comes out, you will see
like her
the
alias,
person that.
Or does she have an alias?
No, that's I don't know. I think that is her alias. It's been a while since I read that. Years or so since I read it, so I don't remember everything. I just remember that she was a problem to deal with, and she's stupid powerful. And I don't really know how they're gonna warp her into being the villain for Deadpool and Wolverine, but she is. We'll see her on the big screen there. But I think she is the person who is the reason for the Sentinels coming to blow up Genosha, because it's almost the same thing that happened in the comic run E is for Extinction. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think she's going to show up later on. I think she's going to end up being the main villain for the rest of the season and into season 2. That's what I'm thinking right now. And if they do go that route, shit's going to get fucking crazy. And I urge everybody that's listening to me talk right now, don't get attached to anybody. Don't get attached to anybody. Okay.
So you're saying get ready for some Game of Thrones style.
Yeah, get ready for some. Actually, yes, you said it. You said it the right way. If you guys remember the whole X-Men, the animated series, they did kill people off. I mean, they didn't stay dead, but like Beast was gone at one point. Morph apparently got killed at one point. Storms lost her powers before. Like, they will take people off the fucking board. So like, just be prepared for that to happen more.
I like that though. I like characters. You can actually have loss. I think that makes it just overall better stories.
It raised the stakes. This episode was a 10 out of 10 for me. I liked it. I think it was the best episode of the season so far, and I can't wait for them to do better. So I shouldn't give it a 10 out of 10. I should give it like a 9 out of 10, so it has room to grow. But I just like the episode that much. For me, it was a 10. What was it for you?
Fair enough. All right. Well, does that cover your notes?
What would you give it? That's all my notes.
I'll give it a 9.5. I really enjoyed it. I actually really liked the episode. I enjoyed it enough that I wanted to rewatch it afterwards. I didn't get to, but I wanted to rewatch it just to go back through it and try to catch like all the things. Like it was that good. But I've really enjoyed the series. Like it's my childhood. It's nostalgia, watching it, and they're doing a fantastic job. They really are. They're doing a great job with it. And if it's true that they're bringing some spinoffs of the other like 90s animated shows like Spider-Man and stuff like that, I'm 100% on board. Give me more if you're going to keep them how this is going.
Okay.
No? You're not on board? You don't want to be on board?
Oh man, if they reboot Spider-Man the animated series, that's all I need. I love Spider-Man the animated series. For me, when I was a kid, it was Batman the animated series, Spider-Man the animated series, and then
Can I make a statement though about Batman? Yeah. Do not reboot that.
No,
don't touch it. Do not touch it. Kevin Conroy's not here. Don't touch it. Leave it alone.
I'll tell you what you can reboot though. You could reboot Batman Beyond.
Okay, that's fine because you have Boy Meets World.
Will Friedle?
Yeah, I mean you can bring him back. Fine. Okay, do not touch animated. Don't. All right, but I believe that's gonna wrap it up for this episode of Sippin With Sin, and it is time. Christian, is it time?
It is time.
All right, it's time that we
Pass the whiskey.
That's right. Get your as we go into last call, and it sounds like the one and only Mr. Jordan has the last call question. So let's see what he has. Chat while we are answering this. If you are watching live on Kick, and for those listening, live on Kick, check kick.com/IamSinister. You can drop your last call question. So if that's how you want to get them featured, come hang out in the chat with us. What you got?
So he actually sent his in earlier because he knew he would join us live today. So his question was, what movie or show for you was a 9 or 10 out of 10 before the ending, besides Game of Thrones? So was there a show that you watched? Was there a show or movie that you watched that was a 10 out of 10 for you before you even got to the ending? You said that was easy?
Yeah. There's one show right away. As soon as you said that, like, come to my head.
I know what it's going to be for you.
What?
Dexter.
Yeah, 100%. If you give me 1 through 4 seasons, yeah, absolutely. I'm rating that thing out the roof. I think
it's fair.
It starts after season 4. It kind of declines, and it continues to decline a little bit. And then I did not like the original ending. Like, it was what it was, and I understand, like, you can't exactly have them ride off in the sunset, but how they went about it I wasn't crazy. So I'll probably say Dexter, and I will try to think of another while you give your answer.
This is actually a tough one. I think off the top of my head, the first show I can think of that I liked that much was a show that I mentioned on the podcast before. It's called Warrior. And you can watch that right now on HBO Max. No, we are not sponsored. It is just that good.
Imagine if we were sponsored. How sweet would that be?
Man, it'd be great. I loved Warrior. I thought it was an easy 9 out of 10 before I even finished the last episode. And it has 3 seasons. The last season of the show was canceled by HBO Max, and I think that was the worst idea they could have done because it was fantastic. I loved that show so much. Another 10 out of 10 show for me, before I even got to the end, was Mindhunters.
Mindhunter was really good, and it got taken away from us. So you can't really fault it for that.
Yeah, I mean, but that was a 10 out of 10 show for me.
That was a really good show. I was disappointed when they canceled it.
Absolutely. That hurt me when they canceled that. But those are the first 2 things that come to mind.
I'm trying to think of some more. Good ones. Man, that's funny he put Game of Thrones in there. I would still rate Game of Thrones really high. I know the ending is controversial, whatever. I still love Game of Thrones. I really do.
It was really good, man. Oh, another like 9 out of 10 show for me that also got canceled was Glow, the Netflix show about women's wrestling in the 80s.
You would give that a 9 out of 10, really?
I loved Glow, dude.
I watched it, but I wouldn't rank it that high.
Yeah, I mean, as a whole, I really loved it. Like, clearly, the first season I think was the strongest one, and it started to decline. I think Netflix just didn't want to put the
How
money
high would
they
you
were putting
rank
into it.
Umbrella Academy?
Oh, man, season 1 was fantastic.
No, it was. That's what I remember. The first season being in love with it, but I don't know. It's kind of to the point where I'm like, this ended. Like, I'm kind of. It definitely is dropping significantly for me.
I'd probably give it like a 7. Ooh,
Okay.
Another show that was canceled that is kind of coming back anyway. And I'm not trying to purpose. The question wasn't canceled shows; it was just shows in general. And I just happen to really love shows that got canceled, I guess. But Daredevil, the Daredevil Netflix show, even though it's kind of coming back, the Daredevil Netflix show was so good to me. I loved it. I thought it was season 2 was obviously the worst of the 3 seasons that we got.
But the ending didn't ruin it for you, though.
No, the ending didn't ruin it. It was high for me on the list.
Daredevil's
very high on the list for me. And there was another show that wasn't something I got canceled that I liked.
Damn, I'm trying to think hard.
Ozark.
First Witcher at first, but I haven't watched the latest season. I don't know that. I know Cavill's in it, but I don't know. I'm dreading watching it because I'm kind of at the point where I don't care because I know it's his last season.
Mhm. It's the same with me. I just didn't watch him. I did. I don't know if you heard me, but I said I really liked. I thought it was fantastic.
What? You cut out. I didn't hear that.
Ozark.
Oh, Ozark. Ozark was great. The ending wouldn't take that away from me either. Any other shows? True Blood. Where would you put True Blood? Pretty high.
Oh shit!
True Blood.
was
Dude, the
good.
later seasons of True Blood just got too crazy. Like there was just too much shit going on.
I agree, but
The early
the
seasons
first,
though were. It was a guilty pleasure show, I guess you could say.
That's fair.
I like True Blood though.
I'll agree with you on that one.
Trying to think if there's any other shows. You got anything?
That's all I got, man. I think
Okay.
that's it for me.
I'm sure I'll ponder on it. I'm sure I'll think of more shows over the week. But yeah, dude.
I see somebody in chat said Jupiter's Legacy, and Titan. I think Jupiter's Legacy was not what I needed it to be because I did read that comic. Pretty damn good, and the show let me down. I gotta say.
Okay. Alrighty then. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Sippin With Sin, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you have enjoyed it. If you would like to come partake in the episode and watch it live, we film these live on Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central Time. You can come hang out in chat, drop your last call question, all that good stuff. Interact with us while we're filming. You can see all the goodies happen live. Kick.com/IamSinister. The episodes drop every Wednesday, 8 a.m. Central Time on Apple, Spotify, Anchor.fm, Overcast, and all the other audio platforms. You can also find the episodes for the video version on youtube.com/IamSinister, 8 a.m. Central every Wednesday. Rated 5 stars, subscribe, follow, show all the love, share it with a friend, and enjoy them. You can find us on social media at Sippin With Sin, SIPPIN with Sin, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok. IamSinister TV. You can find me streaming at kick.com/IamSinister Monday through Fridays. And, of course, youtube.com/IamSinister and facebook.com/IamSinister TV. Christian, where can the folks find you?
You guys can find me on the Instagrams at Then and Ink. You guys can also find me on the TikToks. My name, Christian Vincent. Those are only two places you guys can really find me right now because, contrary to popular belief, I don't like social media that much.
This is true. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for yet another awesome episode. Go show that love. Keep spreading it. Keep growing it. We appreciate you very, very much. You don't have to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here until next week. It's time for Christian to shut her down.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of Sippin' And please do all the YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Leave a review on any of the apps you listen to the podcast on. We would appreciate it, and we're going to start reading those reviews. Until then, guys, I'm going to leave you with 3 words. 3 words to leave you with on every episode. If you know them, say them with me. And if you don't, if you are new here, listen very carefully, because these 3 words just might save your life. Those words are, don't get gutted.
See you guys next week.